I had COVID and I missed some grad shows, and now we got to go back. So we're going to start at the top of the rating, and then we're going to work our way down. There's quite a bit to do today. So let's read what Nitrofish says. Have it managed to graduate after around 3 months of work, played around 35 OTB. That's strong in 3 months. And a few more online games. The middle game sparring was particularly helpful since playing complicated positions with low time, less than 30 minutes, used to be a flaw of mine. Openings as part of the dojo could be improved since I found myself spending hours on Chessable to fulfill the 35 required on white openings. This was quite tedious. Hoping to graduate again soon since I recently played in a 9-round tournament where my performance rating was around 2200. However, I'll need to find time to play more tournaments. So first of all, it was great that you got 35 games in 3 months. That's incredible. And let me just tell you what our dream, what our dream of the dojo is right here. In terms of openings. We had a lot of dreams, actually. But with the openings, we are soon going to get the ability to have a chess engine on our page. It will at first be just as weak as the one on Chess.com or Lichess. Eventually, we want to buy some cloud space so that we can get a really strong engine there. Now, the reason that's important for openings is that if you are at Nitrofish's level, you at least want the ability to check certain positions with the engine. Okay, so that's step one. Myself included. I want, when I do my opening work, I want to do it at the dojo, and I want to have the files, and then I want, to look at certain positions with a very strong engine. Then the next thing we need, and this is more like the engine, at least the cheap engine, will be, I think, within the next couple weeks. Then, let's say a couple months down the road, we're going to get our openings trainer. And I don't think it's that technically hard, but we want to dial it into in terms of a dojo chess philosophy. And the genius thing is like, when you create a file on ChessBase, you got to import it into Chessable, and Chessable doesn't make that process easy. So the dream is, we are going to have it so just with one click, you have your file and you go boom, and then you train it, right? So that's one of the vectors of improvement that we are looking for. Nose hasn't gone shopping, or maybe he's standing in line. He's watching us standing in line at the shop. All right, so let's look at this. I just want to say, Nitrofish, this could be, there could be more done at this over here. In fact, let me see over here. It looks, now what's this? I just want to look briefly if these other games were more, I want to do this one. Okay, I'm going to do this one because this looks like it's more in depth. Okay. So here's an interesting clock usage. This is really cool, by the way. This is an English game, English Chess Federation game. And you can see here what happens often at a higher level is that people play theory and then they start to think, They start to think. So this is pretty cool. You can see here that both players kind of in theory up till about move 13. We'll check that when we go through the game. Okay, now switch screens, Kraai, before you forget. All right, here we go. So, boom. Oh, I'm going to mark this as review too. I did. Got it. Fine. and now d takes c5. The move I like is knight e5 here, but okay. All right. And he writes, so far this is all theory. However, I had only reviewed bishop b6 beforehand, so bishop e7 was slightly surprising. Okay. So this is definitely the correct idea, knight fd4. So let's talk maybe about what he says, or let's first read what he says, and we'll talk about the dynamic. Writes, I spent 12 minutes on this move, and it is the best move, but I should have known this beforehand since this is all still theory. I don't know. I don't know about knowing it necessarily. I think it's important, I would say, to just kind of understand the dynamic. So in this position, he chucks a pawn to disrupt your structure, but the question is this pawn a dynamic weakness or a strength? We could call that a dynamic weakness, right? It's got strengths and negatives. And so you can bully him by using this pawn because he doesn't want to take. In return for your bad pawn, you have a better development, right? And in particular, it's difficult for dude to figure out his bishop on d7. And if I was annotating this game, I would want to analyze different moves here for black, because knight takes d4 is just a pure capitulation strategically, after which you are definitely, I would say, clearly better. Okay, so for example, could he get away with bishop d7? Could he get away with knight e5? You know, these are some of the questions that I would ask. Because when he takes, now you're just doing great, dude. And cd4 for sure. Maybe knight d4, you still have a nice position, but cd4 is just like, oh, look at this. Now we're really doing good. And you write, this is the main line and aims to help black untangle quickly. Yeah, good luck, buddy. Okay, so here again, I think this is an example, this next move in particular is an example of theory where understanding getting in your way. Because you play e4 and write bishop d2 as the main line. So what do I mean? When you are a Catalan player, then the thing to realize is you rarely ever want to play e4. Right? Because that is in the way of your bishop. So it's kind of like when you play the Catalan a bunch, you just start realizing, oh, if I'm going to move my e-pawn, it's going to probably be to e3. Now, I get it. e4 is kind of calling out to be played, but it's really solving more problems for black than it is creating for him. All right, now he sinks it into c3. Makes sense. Your rook gets awkward. And now there's some things that I don't understand. He goes knight a4, which makes sense to me, but why is knight e2? Why does it force king h1? Why can't you go here? This would be a mistake because knight c1, rook c1, b6 with the threat of bishop a6. No, but you're still, aren't you still better here? You're going to move, you're going to, maybe it's unpleasant. But to me, it looks like you're still kind of in charge here. Yeah, looks like you're in charge. King h1, let's look at your variation here. Knight c1, rook c1. Here I evaluate white chances as better thanks to the domination on the c file. However, black should be okay after b6. Okay, maybe. Okay. So, after e4, I think black should be okay anyway. His knight a4 makes sense to me to play knight a4. Knight b4, I suspect, is also playable. All right. So knight c3, knight a4. And then you're saying maybe knight a5 would have been a good move here. Okay, let's just say it is clever, because if b6, he wants e5, rook b8, knight c6. Now, actually, he's saying b6, knight c6. Well, this might be a computer variation, because e5 is definitely the human move. And then maybe, maybe he wants this one. Maybe that's the secret point. So they give knight c6, rook e8, pop, pop, pop. This one's hard to know if we're actually that much better over here. However, I'm willing to believe that knight a5 is a better shot than rook b1, because, right, does he achieve b6 here? It looks like he does, dominating the knight. And let's say some obvious stuff. This is what we'd call the Grunfeld pawn structure, right, where he has the queenside majority. So b6 makes sense from a variety of standpoints. Okay. We're at move 16, and we're already, both sides are crashing wildly now on time. Like, we're getting, let's see here. Yeah, they're spending a lot of time. Okay. And you went a little crazy here with knight c5. Now here's the weird thing. I thought b6 looked great, but is it really true that you have to play knight c5 here? Because it's starting to look real bad. If that's the case. Well, maybe it's just bad. Can it really be bad? Can it really be that bad? What am I drinking? Milk? I'm drinking a little bit of milk, but actually my intention, which I forgot, was to pour my cold coffee into this beautiful glass of milk plus ice. Okay. I don't like this business that you did. One bummer for us is I was thinking e5, rook b8, and we can't do d5 yet because he'll pop out here to bishop f5. But basically, I need to, I need to do something with my majority, right? Even if it's just as basic as moving this thing and then doing this. Okay, so this wasn't it. Looks like we're just much worse here. Bishop a4. And now he's hurting us, huh? Now you write about rook d4, bishop d4, b6. Now, also, I just want to stress, like, this bishop a4 move is fancy, but after, oh, I see what the problem. Do you see what the problem is? If bishop c6, dude can play bishop a3. Oh, this is very hot, actually. So I have full respect for black thinking a little bit here. rook d4, rook fd8, bishop e3, and then you write rook d4, bishop d4, b6. This would have been the critical try after which black is pushing thanks to the extra pawn. That's an interesting position. You write rook c1, rook c8, bishop f1. White should still hold, but it will take time, you say. And it looks difficult. I guess I would be wondering, what is the eval here? Right? Because aren't we threatening this kind of bozo maneuver right away? And this one might be harder for black to hold together. Okay. Okay, so rook fd8, b6, rook c4. So what is the problem? This bishop takes c5 is coming. It looks like white is winning their pawn back. I'd give yourself an exclam to rook c4. It's clear to me that he overlooked that. All right, bishop d1. I don't know. I don't see a great move for black, but you know, this isn't going to solve his problems. All right. So now we have ourselves an interesting endgame. Who's better and why? Good question. My guy plays king f8, and you play f4. Definitely my first instinct here would be e5. And it might go something like this. Boom, boom, boom. And now we need to do something like bishop e4. Here at least white can dream about stuff. In particular, I can say his king's better. And we have to play e5 anyway. In fact, once we played e4, we needed to play e5 to free our bishop. Okay, so f4. Probably a reasonable move. Okay, b8. Rook c7. a6. And now rook c2. All right, this phase of the game, I want to say that it would be great if you could do more work here. I realize maybe you just say to yourself, this is drawn, yada, yada, and maybe it is. But this is where you should be able to outplay your opponent. And not sometimes, anyway, not always. But mistakes will still be made. So there's things like about both sides playing the last couple of moves that there's definitely question marks for me. All right, so for example, now dude goes for it. Does this give you another tempo? It kind of looks like it. And now he's getting frisky. Rook b4. Okay, so what's happening? Your opponent is not improving their position, going for a trick, and now e5. Finally, that's where we needed to be anyway. Now, should he still be okay? Of course he should be okay. But this king, our king is better. Good move. I bet he missed it. Bishop d5, and you write, bang, here the position is completely equal. What? No, you're definitely the one pushing the coconuts, as they say. All right, g6, rook b3, king e7, king f3. I would have played king e3, but okay. At h5, and the players agree to a draw. Oh, I don't know, my friend. Definitely we play on here. Yeah, it might be a draw, but we're going to play on. So, for example, let's say we played king e3 and dude played h5. Okay? It's very difficult for this king to come up because we have this check. Now, should it probably be a draw? Yeah, but the game's just getting started. The game's just getting started over here. So anyways, like, let's say we play king d3. Well, they got some questions to answer. Well, but you're probably right. It's going to be a draw. I'm just saying, when I hear the position is completely equal, I've been in these kinds of situations too many times. He's already played passive and weird. The guy deserves death. The guy deserves death. Yeah. Okay. Good job. Well done. And so that was Nitrofish. Nitrofish is doing great. And we're going to follow Nitrofish. And they've done a lot of game analysis. That's great. I have a feeling not all of their games are there yet. Anyways, Nitrofish, this is great. You're doing it the right way. You see our beautiful heat map here. And I think the English Chess Federation also did a boost in the same way that FIDE did a boost. But this, by the way, is an example of a legitimate FIDE rating. Now, maybe he's already eating some of the money that was dealt to the people below him. But, in general, the 2000 plus hasn't felt the full effects of inflation, though Nitrofish is actually right there in the spot where when the inflation starts working its way up, like when he's playing players who are 1800 who used to be, much lower, he's going to be able to eat those points. Okay, Jake says, Jack's update went live a few minutes ago, so it might be reflected on people's profiles. Let's then go look. Oh, so it would be maybe reflected here too. That's interesting. Though, of course, here it makes sense that we're still 2064. Let's go look at Skebix, because that's who we were talking about before. So search users, and we'll go Skebix. There he is. And so the question was, oh yeah, look at that. It looks like it went live, my friend. Look. So by the way, I'm going to follow Skebix. He's going to be on the graduation show coming up next week. So 1665 went down to 1430, right? So probably Skebix, but he's not going to get a demotion notice because he's right there, 1500. He accurately put himself. So now we're going to see the other normalized. So ChessCom is 1234. He might not be playing on that. Wait a second. Maybe this hasn't worked its way through yet. What? How come this still says 1885 with the normalized? Maybe it's just so high? I got questions on that one. And then I believe when we looked at this a while back too, that it was not this low. All right. So we're going to keep an eye on this going forward. Oh, here's another way to look, actually. I want to look. So this says 2214 Lee Chess. I believe now we go rating conversions, and let's take a look. This looks correct, right? Yeah, this is now correct. And so if we look Lichess Classical, and he was 22 something, that should go, wait a second. That goes to 18, 19? Oh, the Lichess stuff freaks me out. Okay, I think I get it. Refresh the page. Oh, maybe we're just talking about for Skebics though, right? Let's go Skebics, refresh the page. No, this is all correct. And when that table also seemed correct that we have 1885. So Jack says the updates in the blog are deploying now. Uh-oh. He did that actually about 20 minutes ago. I didn't see it. And he made the big announcement. All right. So, all right, yeah. The firestorm. The firestorm is coming upon us. All right. I'm happy to answer questions as they come in. And like I said, Nose is going to be back in a little while. Boomer mode on and off. Yeah, dude, thank you. Oh, sorry about that. And M. Norris writes, can confirm that my normalized Lichess Classical has changed. Jake got a boost. Yeah, some people got a boost. True. Jake, can you describe where you were? Like what rating you had to get a boost? That would be interesting. I am evolving. Thank you very much. Okay, so back to the front here. Next up, we have Luke. And Luke says, hi guys, this graduation felt very quick, and I'm really happy that I learned so much last year. I went from someone who didn't even analyze his games to a person who studies books every day. I can see it in my rating too. I got more than 300 points. Dang. Feels really weird how after one moment you start to win almost every game you play and your opponent's moves just seem to be wrong. I played more on my other account and I reached an ELO of even higher in the 2100. I'm currently working on Tune Your Chess Tactics Antenna, which I got for free for Young Jedi. He stopped chess recently. Thank you so much again. After this book, I will start Art of Attack and discuss it with a few training partners. I was thinking that I would switch my opening too, since I'm not very good at open/attacking positions. And I'm not very happy with the positions that I get out of the English. But I would also like to play 1d4 since I saw many nice games in the books that I have read. Okay. If you are reading this, it would be great to have some advice and get me out of this mess. Well, first of all, you're definitely not in a mess in the sense that your rating is exploding. So let's go click on your business here. And so you got this amazing ChessCom Rapid rating. And we got some checkmate tests. We want to see you do some tactics tests. And then also, and I remember you, Luke, from previous graduations that you're playing from the Netherlands. Really cool. You are at a point where you should very much consider, getting that Dutch rating, KNSB, I think it's called, right? So that would be definitely a big thing for you to do. But definitely congratulations. Look at this thing. You are flying, my friend. Okay. So let's get into it. And clubs. I got the Dutch Dojo, man. Nice. I'm going to take a little look at the activity. See how Luke did it. And that's looking strong right there. That's looking good. Now we'll look at some games. And let's just look here. Let's do this one because this is fairly recent. And first, just click on this time graph. And he is playing somebody that did not use their time. So one of the things, Luke, is you are getting really good right now, right? And what's happening when you're playing these online players is they're not thinking. You can see, man, this guy that you're playing, they're not thinking at all, buddy. They're not thinking at all, man. So it's so, one of this just should just be a wake up, be like, oh, wait a second. If I am going to really get strong, I need to play against people who are thinking, right? You are doing pretty good with the thinking. You would probably think a little bit more too if you were playing OTB. Okay, so let's go to the game review. And so this is on Lichess. All right. I'm going to mark its review before I forget. And here we go, C4. He was talking about not liking the positions they got from the English. Okay, so this is the famous Tarrasch. You decide on E3. This is okay. Good move. And you're right, this seemed like a very nice move since it takes away the B4 square. And honestly, I think A3 is a move, I don't think you play it unless you know it, right? This is old kind of games, a lot of beautiful games being played. Even recently in the candidates we had, was it round 1 with Prague versus, I forget the guy's name, Vidit. But I believe it was Vidit Prague or something like that. Ended in a draw, was very spicy. Also still playing this ancient variation. Okay, so bishop e7, pop, pop. So normally if you're going to plan to take it back that way, black will play a6 in this position, saying that that move is useful. Whereas bishop e7, now he's going to lose a tempo. Good move. And now a6, losing a tempo. It's hard for black to play this. Generally, I would say dc is the correct move for black. And you're right, I think that this is the only move to play for advantage, even though it opens his bishop. It makes a lot of sense since he is left with an IQP. Okay, let me just stress the other move to play in this position would kind of be something that maybe you'd need to know it to play it. But queen c2, when I say it, I just mean it's an idea. Takes, rook d1, queen c7, and now either knight g5 or knight e4 with an attack on the black king. It's hard for him to defend this pawn. I know about that because I, for years, had this position where they would go more testing a6, pop, pop, pop. Let's say e7. a7 can also be a thing. And here to play rook d1, queen c7 or something, knight e4, and we got an interesting game. Okay, so here we go. I think it's totally plausible, though, for you to play this c takes move. Knight d4. You're right, I played this move to make it hard for him to develop his light square bishop since it can't go to g4 anymore. Yeah, let's just say something obvious. A6 is useful for black in this position with the IQP. Because, for example, it would be nice if you could play knight b5. So an obvious thing that we just want to say is the success of this position will depend on your control or not control of this square. And we need to do something with this knight. My personal take would definitely be castles, and then if bishop g4, then knight d4, with the point that, oh, if he takes, oh, of course I want that, because I need to open my boy, right? Okay, but let's give your move a try. Knight d4. Intuitively, I would say rook e8 is what black should be doing. He plays the kind of passive bishop d7. Doesn't look right. Bishop f3. Yeah, you're forgetting about castling, Luke. Now, maybe this is fine. Bishop d7, that is a terrible move. Pop. Okay, and so what you're seeing here is your opponent doesn't understand, because your opponent's going passive now in this position. No lo puedo do, right? They got to use that isolated queen pawn as a dynamic force. So you played rook d1, and then bam, you slapped it. Now, how do I feel about this? I don't know. Let's see. Bishop d5, rook fd8, e4. That's an interesting business that's happening here. So let's talk about this. You're basically relying on some tactics here with this move, this square, that you're saying you're going to be fine. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And what's interesting is if he has to commit to this move, then definitely you're really in charge because that piece is poor there. Let me just look at it from Black's point of view for a second. I would be a little more concerned with, let's say, rook ad8, let's say e4, bishop d6, and does dude have play here? It kind of looks like he does, right? I can't do e5 because of snip and this, and here my king is a little bit unsatisfied. If h3, then he's going to take and give you a check. Right? So these are some of the problems that I'm seeing with this position. What is it about? Was knight d5 necessary? Because look, you've got a nice position here. This dude isn't doing anything to you when you castle. After you castle, you have a clear advantage because it's hard for him to move this piece and this one. But you do this, and then he gets to trade off his dog. That thing is a dog. And I think he has full compensation after rook ad8. I think. I don't see a way out of it for you. Murden Chess asks, hi, is this a graduation show? Yes, this is a makeup graduation show. I did the one for last week, but I had COVID the week before, so I missed out on some stuff passive. Basically, this opponent is playing too fast and is playing passive. As long as you don't lose that d pawn, this is just a disaster for him. Okay. I didn't went for any of the moves I said on my previous notes, and I expected him to give up his 2 rooks for the d pawn and my queen. After the exchange, my connected rooks will be super strong. Okay, let's look at this for a second, though. Why are we giving it to him, though? Right? Rook d3 maybe, but let's just say you were a weenie, just for a second. I'm not calling you a weenie. I'm just saying, what if you were a weenie? And he played like this. He's not getting your pawn, right? You no puedo have my pawn. Now, the way it goes down, you make an interesting claim here that you're winning. Maybe. Let's read what you say. This is the ending where we arrive, which is totally winning for me with the 2 rooks. This seems like it could be in a endgame book on chapter 2, rooks versus queens, and the position looks really simple. Okay. So, is it simple? It might be. It might be. I got some questions, though. So, h6, rook d8, queen c2. And the problem, of course, is that we just played rook to the 8th rank, so we don't want to bring it back. If we go rook d2, he's got queen b1. So you got to do something like bishop e5. And you write, I thought a bit on this move, looking for the best continuation. This seemed like the most active post. Now here, king h7 is definitely the big question I have. h3, bishop e7, rook 8 d7, and you say that's winning. The black could have survived a bit longer, but my rooks are just too good here. I still got questions on this one. Let's say, like King G6. That's still, I'll say this. I'm not averse to saying that you're winning here. All I know is it's very difficult to actually win this bad boy unless your name is Kramnik. Like Kramnik made an art form to win this kind of thing. I just know like this position, I wouldn't feel as confident as you do here. Abdul wants you to play G3 instead of H3. Well, you could. It's going to be a similar problem though. Let's say, what were we talking about here? Bishop E5. Definitely King H7, like we said. And then Abdul wants G3. In principle, H3 is right. You want to put it on the opposite color of the bishop. And still, now either Bishop E7 or King G6. One of these moves, right? Something like this. Okay, so let's look at when it went down. Your opponent's playing some superficial moves. H3. A5. The guy's he's just thinking about some threat. Nah, boss. Oh, he's not thinking at all. Oh. Yeah, well, that's welcome to the dojo right there. Nope. Very nice. Simple chess. Simple chess. Goodbye. Okay, so Luke, great game, good annotations. Let's just say the obvious. You're playing this chump who is not thinking. And that's what typical of online play. If you want to improve, you're going to have to play OTB and maybe some longer games with people in the dojo. People in the dojo are not going to generally move this fast. Another key thing to think about is what, Kraai? I had some really deep thing I was going to tell him. In any case, Luke, you're doing great, buddy. You're doing great. A little bit, I guess, this was a 60 plus 30. So what do I want to say? A longer game, right? Obviously, you're playing this guy. It doesn't matter that it's a longer game. He's not thinking anyway. Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When you start playing at this level on either Lichess or chess.com, the amount of cheaters you're going to face is exorbitant, right? So that's just a fact that's really sad at that level. Okay, good. That was Luke. Let's go to Anton. Anton, we're going to follow Anton, 1603. And this all looks good. I think, really cool that Anton's done the tactics tests and such. All right. Looks like a nice tactics rating. Looks, perfectly in line with their actual rating. Okay. Good. So, let's take a look. Clubs. Aus Deutschland. So, activity. Looking good. All right. Games. And we got some. And this is Berkiat. These look like online games. So, let me just say, I apologize for the split screen. I'm sorry. I did it again. Okay? I did it again. First of all, I want to show the time graph. Murd and Chess, that's your fault. That's your fault for not telling me sooner. I believe our hero is playing the white pieces. So if it's true that they were totally winning at move 35, then we will forgive them. Otherwise, we will accuse them, depending on how this looks. Okay. I just want to give you a shout out, Anton. If you are in Germany, oh man, those German clubs, dude, back in the day, I got to play in them. Amazing. So here we go. E3, fine, 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 fine. And this is a thing I did to many poor people back in the day. Bishop c5, pop, pop. Until here, I was in theory, looks fine, but maybe I would like something a little more exciting for the accepted gambit. Queen's gambit is what he's talking about. Okay, rook d1, king e7. And I would say here, this is a known position. It's very interesting, where the thing that white has to strive for is to somehow knock this bishop off of this diagonal so that we can try to harass the king. That's the primary idea here. And all kinds of moves have been tried. I think the cleverest is just to get out of dodge. Now, it looks like a non-developing move, but the bishop doesn't actually belong there. And after bishop e2, we'll see what he does, but we got a lot of options with knight here and knight here. All of these things are available to us, trying to knock that bishop off of this diagonal, like I said. So knight c3, I'm not sure where that's going. Knight d7 makes some sense. a3, don't really like it for all the reasons I talked about before, because it's not going to help you. Bishop e2. And he's talking about bishop d3 intending e4. Maybe, but once you play e4, then knight g4 is going to be a pain in you know what. Okay, I'm going to assume bishop d6 is okay. But at this point, he can play bishop b6 because he doesn't need to worry about the diagonal anymore. Abdul's talking about knight c3 being a mistake. I didn't understand knight c3, and I think it's clear that white has drifted here. Knight d4, knight e5, reasonable move. Rook a c1, knight c4 looks good. And so what we should say now, okay, is that the trend went against white. And now the king, instead of being a liability on e7, is simply a developed piece, whereas the king on g1 is not a developed piece. f3. Okay, f3 is by all means the move we want to do. And now black gets frisky with knight d5. I say frisky because if it doesn't do anything, then I don't want to do it, right? In particular, if knight d5, king f2, like happens in the game, then why are we doing this knight d5? And I want to stress there are several ways of black to play this position. G5, G4 is always an idea, right? Knight d7 to e5 is an idea. Let's give his move a try. Knight d5, king f2, we've developed. Knight b6, and so if this is going to work, I feel, for black, it's going to be because the knight lands on this light square. g3. Okay, black's playing with the plan. Knight c4. Knight b3. And now he played e5. Now e5 certainly makes some sense. Now he doesn't like it, but it would be good to say why he doesn't like it. Right? I feel like I've had a lot of positions in my career, as they say, with positions like this. I don't know why e5 is so bad. Another plan, well, at some point we want to work against this pawn, right? So knight e5 also looks like a plausible move. That looks kind of annoying. Okay. Max Bierman says it's anarchy knows. Torches and pitchforks everywhere. All right, e5, e4. Now, what black needs to understand is that their bishop on b7 now needs help. And I feel like that move doesn't get it, right? So this is our unopposed bishop, and we need this diagonal, right? So we need to start thinking about f5 pronto. Either king e6 or g6. We got to get that bad boy moving. Because that ain't it. g4. Do I like g4? I'm not sure I get it. I don't like rook d8 because we're actually looking at this from White's point of view, by the way. But I don't like rook d8 because the rook was doing something. Knight c3 looks reasonable. Now we give a trade. Knight c5. Without the rook, the passed pawn was more of a liability than a threat. What he means is that here black can go take that thing, which he does. King e6, we got to look at king d7 to go take that pawn. King d3, knight a5, bishop e3. Okay, you guys, one of the big problems we have at the dojo is people are pretty good at annotating the openings, talking about the openings nonstop. Here, though, there's things to talk about here, guys. There's things to talk about here. Bishop e3, oh my gosh. Knight c4, do I understand g6? I don't. Knight a2, maybe a good move. We got to look at knight c4. He goes back. a5. Frisky, because this allows a4. And he says knight c3 equals. Okay, let's see. Knight c3, bishop a6, knight d5, and he says clear advantage. This is a problem with this move, g6, certainly. Now we have this threat. Okay, knight c3, maybe a very clever move. a5, very frisky. And even though knight c3 looks significantly better, I think a5 you just don't play because of a4 anyway. Knight c3, yeah, because of knight c3. And now look at this. You hosed your knight, dude. This guy got hosed. Oh, no. And now he's got the outside pass pawn. Notice there's no actual square that the knight goes to where we get murdered, right? So here you're still doing okay. This is why a5 looked wrong to me. So actually, if anything, what I want you to see about this move is that you're not being sensitive to your pieces. And now I'm going to yell at you. Okay, we're going to go switch scenes. Because what you apparently thought, because remember, you're white in this graph, is that there was nothing to think about from this point on. But look at that. We're right in there, in this little spot where you stopped thinking, and you played king c3. Right? And the point is to really feel for your knight here, boss. Look at this knight. What is he doing, man? What is he doing after king c3? He's crying his eyes out is what he's doing. I guess we're lost now. Yeah. Okay, so now knight d5 comes. So, check to the miserable king. Now you should be lost because the king is, everything's bad. Everything's bad. f5, good move. Knight f6. fe4, fe4, and you say it's equal. It cannot be equal. This is definitely not an equal position. Now, you might have chances to draw. Yeah, okay, but it's not equal. King d4, h4. Okay, and now dude plays bishop c6. Now, just optically, it looks lost to me. Bishop g6, because your king is so dominated. It's like your king doesn't exist. Check to the miserable. Knight G7, E4, pop, H6, and now King C6. Does this move make any sense? I don't know. He has to figure out a way to push E3 without bishop takes allowing this business, right? In fact, maybe that's his little dream here with King C6. We now see the dream. It's weird, though. It's weird to play King C6. Oh, this is hot. And now H7, he secures the draw. Now, boss, you were playing super fast. Your time even went up at the end here. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. By the way, I really want to stress this whole thing here needed a deeper analysis. So when you get to this, you can't just kind of self-satisfyingly say, oh, I'm going to draw this bad boy. Oh, no, this is hot. This is really hot. So, for example, F5, pop, pop, knight F6. He's got a lot of interesting options here, right? A big one would be F4, intending here and here. Do I know what's exactly what's going? No, I don't know. But this is scaring me to all get out. I don't know. I'm just saying there's multiple options here that would be really fascinating for Black to look at. Okay, my friends, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back.
Welcome to Dojo. Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Dicey. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine that he hacking. He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong, he scored a like from Truong. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes, true not over the board, it's only the other chat. Still his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless, he rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction, the status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 alt accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive...
All right, let's continue. So, that was Anton aus Deutschland. Chess by Bikes. I think this graduation is only due to the FIDE rating change. Uh-oh, that guy's going to get a demotion notice, huh? Let's go look real quick. Actually, this will be a good thing if we can see their chart. Now, the Elite Chess Classical, well, that's still normalized to 1620. So he's still in there. FIDE, right, now you see here that 1735 now normalized to 1570. Right. Okay. So, but still valid graduation with 1620, you know, I think. All right, let's hit a follow here. And we'll look at some clubs. No clubs. Activity. We got some stuff. Do we have games? We do. Chess by Bikes against opponent. Boom. We'll hit mark reviewed. We'll see a time graph. Let's see here. So Chess by Bikes wins. His opponent, oh no, there's a 15 plus 15 increment. Oh gosh. Yeah. So this is too fast for his cohort. That's too fast for his cohort, right? Because dude is in the even 15, 16, you're not allowed to play that fast. Let's look at this one. So this one is more reasonable. So we're going to look at this one. And here Chess by Bikes definitely thought. We'll mark this one as reviewed. It's unfair. I clicked that other one. It wasn't actually reviewed. So this is played on Lee Chess with Tomsko, who I recognize being in the dojo. Okay, so Kraai's going to go to the game review business. And let's get into it. So far, so good. D4, good move. C4, good move. DC4. And actually, we had a game half a second ago that had this position, and I was talking about knight E5, knight. There's all kinds of moves here. E3 looks wrong. Okay. And now you talk about bishop B5, and you play bishop D7. Knight A3. Okay. I would think here for sure knight takes... Oh, I assume now what White was thinking is if knight D4, he was afraid of bishop A3. So instead he plays here, here, here. Oh, knight E3. That's definitely weird. Bishop E3, knight D5. In the postmortem, Tomsko said he didn't consider this based on the knight coming to D5. I'm not sure what White would do here. Maybe bishop G5. Well, let's just say the obvious. You got to get your bishop out on C1. It's just got to come out. I don't know where the bishop's going to go, but I can tell you that even if you go somewhere lame like D2, you're still going to have a little bit of compensation for your lost pawn, right? Things didn't go well for you, right? But you got a little compensation. And now knight E3, the knight makes no sense here. It's not touching any coconuts. It needed to be on C4. And now we're blocking the bishop. So, loss of time. Bishop E7, good move. B3, castles, bishop B2, simple chess, rook C8. Okay, good. A3, that wasn't it. Preventing my knight B4 plan. Tomsko mentioned regretting this move, but in the game, I thought it was strong. My pieces are close to have zero mobility. Nah, boss. You're up a pawn, and look at that knight on E3. He's got to do something with this knight, too. Okay, now you played a weird move, knight B8. Now, I definitely don't like this move because now White could play knight E5. In fact, that's what happens. So the very simple move to play here, right, would be queen C7, play rook FD8 next, play bishop E8 when you want, and you've got a full solid position. The knight on E3 doesn't make sense. And, you know, you can move the queen later to wherever you want to go. Okay, so knight B8 weird, knight E5. And he gives you a snip. Queen E2. Now we can say that White has a little compensation because of the two bishops. And you write, while I am a pawn up, I doubt I am better. White's bishops are so strong, and whatever side of the board I turn my attention, there is potential for counterattacks on the other. Now, what we should say is, you have a pawn, and that knight on E3 still has to figure its life out. All right, so A5 happens. I don't even understand that move. And you write about queen C7, right? I think, well, you could have done queen C7 earlier, too. Now, maybe, I was thinking about this while I was pondering a little earlier, is maybe White plays knight G4. He's got to fix that knight anyway, right? And I don't think, though, even though this looks like it's making me squeamish a little bit because of the long diagonal, I don't think we're actually going to get mated. And the extra pawn in the front of the king is an extra pawn in front of the king, you know. So this comes next, and, you know. But yeah, White has a little compensation. But this isn't it. So now rook d1 followed by knight g4 would be an easy plan for white. He chooses this, which I can imagine that being annoying. I can imagine that being annoying. Simple chess, okay. Knight c4. Now he's finally fixed his knight, and he is talking to you now. And now your favorite knight d5 move. Okay. Rook fd1. And I definitely think this is a moment for white to think about here. And you calculate bishop d5 as being equal. Let's rate your analysis. Bishop d5. If bishop c6, bishop c1 is annoying because the rook on d1 is hanging. Okay, here white has to be a little bit better because of the weaknesses of these pawns. Plus, you owe him a move to get a luft. Right? So it's like white's up some tempi here. So let's just play g6 as an example. Probably you're going to have to do this sooner rather than later. And now one of these moves is going to create a little bit of pressure. Okay, so bishop f6, he takes. Rook takes. And now you play queen takes. Rook d8, knight e5. That's a blunder because you can just play queen e5. Thank you very much. So that's a thing, right? So notice what happened here with this rook takes d8. you were like, oh no, I gotta hang the pawn. Oh gosh, no. No, don't hang the pawn, bud. Don't hang the pawn. Yeah, here you're kind of, I don't know, he has to come up with a move. Knight e5 isn't it. After queen d8, boom, it's not just that he won the pawn. Now it freaks me out that he won the light squares. Okay, he does a nasty move here with rook e1. And you write about rook b1. Looks good to me. Maybe there's some other things, but rook b1 looks good. Rook e1. a4, you like that move. Winning back my pawn. Okay, wait, time out. Aren't you also winning back the pawn with rook b8? Oh, your a4 move's fine. What am I saying? Knight e5, threatening that. Rook c7, thank you very much. Queen b4, fail. Okay, if we go here, your guys move. Tomsko, buddy, you're moving too fast, buddy. You're moving too fast. You got to make the morning last. Oh, he's just done now. He's down to full coconut. Okay, we're going to stop there. Should have ended sooner, but yeah, well done. Good game. Good game. I feel like you played out of the opening really nice. And I think one of the things I want you to see is even though you're rated pretty high, both players are rated pretty high. Both players are suffering from time problems. I don't mean time on the clock. I mean like time on the board here. The knight is terrible. The bishop needs to get fixed. All of that stuff, right? Okay, so and No says, should now read normalized dojo rating using the table on material to rating conversions. Okay, that's just talking about what people are seeing. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to have to go pretty soon. I think this is my last one. This is Mura. I still have to catch up on the last guys here. Here's Mura here. In the past 2 weeks, I beat a 21-14 and a 21-55 to boost my classical rating over 2,000. Great. I also finally decided to join a chess club. Have a provisional German chess rating. Nice. And will play my first OTB at the end of this month. Fantastic. Right. All right, this is fun. So, Kraai, you're in the wrong field, buddy. There we go. So, as you can see, dude is cruising up there. And this was a graduation that wouldn't have happened, but he really is close. He got demoted, but he should probably just stay here for a half a second because probably will make 1600 here in a half a second. Their chess com is over, and like he says, he's going to get a German rating soon. That's all great. Let's take a look at the clubs. We'll give him a follow. The German Dojo, of course. Activity, looking very good. We'll see what they did to get here. Lots of non-dojo. What are you doing, non-dojo, bud? Bullet. Look at that. At least he's honest. You know, a lot of other people wouldn't have put it up there. You know, wouldn't have put it up there. But this guy's on it. He's playing a lot of dojo. In fact, 75 divided by 2 is how much he's playing the bullet. It's not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. Let's see if we get some games. We do. All right. This is PSQ. All right. Let's just click around here for a second. Oh, look at that time graph. It looks reasonable. This is 45 plus 45. All right, let's switch then to game review. And boom. D4. G6. Boom. Little weird, but you know, these London people. I wanted to win, and I knew I could sack the exchange if he allows H5. If he plays H5 himself, there are many weak dark squares around his king. Okay, he gets terrified. H5. Knight of 3. Castles. And then Queen D2. Sherbs pointed out that Knight B5, inducing Knight A6, is one of the ideas in such position, and I think he's right. Okay, now this Knight B5 thing is, of course, something you could have done earlier, too. And I think it's, to my mind, a kind of high-level idea because on the surface of things, you are losing a tempo to Knight A6. And the knight on B5 will eventually have to go back anyway. But what we are claiming is that the knight on A6 is actually misplaced. And my sense of this position would be that if we can, we want to play C4 to get that pawn involved in the central fight. And then imagine just C6 as an example. We go back and we're claiming that this guy is poor, which he is. And our C-pawn, which is the problem of the London system, that is not participating in the fight, is participating in the fight. Okay, so Queen D2, it looks like you want to castle long or something. That's not terrible. Knight E4, frisky. I don't know about it either. Because notice, that knight on C3, not the greatest piece. Good move, Knight E5. Knight D7, okay. And now you took. Okay. One bummer for you that I'm seeing is that if you castled here, that move could be annoying, right? That move could be annoying. Okay. This is I would say this is a critical position. Let's believe in what you did for a second. So pop, pop, pop. And now the guy plays A5. I don't know. To me, bishop G4 is still the big question because it would put you at a quandary of how you deal with the rook. In general, this is his bad bishop. This is your good bishop. So this would be a little bit unpleasant for white to know what to do. Now, wait a second, though. We really want to know how you went wrong. Actually, excuse me. I didn't see your note here. You were talking about knight G5. Interesting. Interesting move, yeah. Now f6 can't be it because you're just taking the pawn. Bishop h6 can't be it. Oh, so that was just a crushing move. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, knight e4. Didn't look right to me either. I trusted you with knight e5. I trusted you. Okay, so good annotations. And now the milk has gone bad a little bit. But a5 doesn't make sense to me. Good move. b5. I don't know. And now you played g4 like a madman. You talk about f3. I totally agree. f3 is the move. These London people, they can't help themselves. Now, he trades his bad bishop. And now you go for it. I like his move, h5. I like it. I mean, queen d5, just ignoring you. All right, now he needs a good move, but in principle, I believe in his position. c5. Oh, man. This guy's, he's a wild animal. Takes, and now you go to the end game. Yeah, this is definitely a tough position for both sides to evaluate. Queen d7 certainly looks cool. I understand your desire to trade them queens. Oh, I do. It's terrifying. All right, queen d7. Maybe he's got other moves besides this, but it definitely looks reasonable. c3. And you talk about b4, queen e6. Mm-hmm. That's a fascinating position. Oh la la. All right, let me just go down this road here. b4. Queen c6 is no good because of rook d8. But what about, oh, and look at this one. Queen c4, then we go whack. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's pure evil. That's pure evil. Look at this one. Bam. 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 Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Let's just finish it off here, dude. Whoo, buddy. Okay. Yeah. So queen d5. Let's go look at what the status of your clock was here. And we're going to say, looks like you played that. Yeah, you played that very quickly. Right? You played that very quickly. So, boom, boom. Rook f5. Maybe you missed that move. And now he plays rook c8. And king f7, good move. Good move. In fact, I'll give you props for this endgame variation you wrote. King e6 also makes sense. I don't understand king f6, actually, but I want to say that in this position, we should believe that black is better because the king is better. And black could try all kinds of things. I don't know about e6. If I'm going to play something to e6, it would be the king. And the other move to look at here is definitely rook h8. Right? That's the other move to really consider here. Okay, so rook c8. And you take. And you go here. Good. Rook c8 really does seem superficial. e6, rook b5. And you're right. This is equal, but with the time advantage and the better pawn structure, I was confident to not mess this one up and convert that 3-1 on the queen side. It might not be equal. You might simply be better. I mean, because let's say the obvious thing here, it's going to be a situation where we have opposite side attacks, and black, it's not immediately obvious how they are going to create an initiative against your pieces. Now he plays a4. I would be interested in rook d8. He goes here. And now you go rook b8. Now, rook b8 you don't like. I don't think I like it either. But it's not like it was totally dumb, right? Because rook a5, you got to have kind of nerves of steel to play rook a5. But it's looking good with rook a5. Let's see what you write. Rook didn't like this since I couldn't see a continuation after rook c4. Here it felt like black is the one pushing for more since my king can't enter the game and f2 is really weak. Okay. Now, I still like your position because your king is better. Is it a little complicated? Yes, but imagine if we just start off with the move c3, king c2. You know, we're the ones who have the better pawn structure. We're the ones who will eventually get some juice going. Okay, you have some other moves here, though. Let's see here. Rook a5 and rook b4, a3. And you write, if b3, then bishop c3. And on ba, here. Ah, this is spicy. This is Spice Girls. Rook b8 is also a move here to consider. All right, let's look at the rook b8 because that will be interesting. Pop, pop, e5. Good move. So now, very basic question. Who's winning the race, boss? Now, if you can stop his pawns, you are going to win this thing. Now, it looks like with b4, it's a natural move. You missed f4. But that's his only idea, right? So f4, ef, e3. Are we scared? Yeah, we're scared. Pawn takes, g3. e4, forced, right? Because of this g2 thing. g2, oh my gosh, here we go. Boom, boom. King c1. My king is in prison and I have 2 minutes to decide between b5 or king d1 and choose the wrong move. Bishop c3. Now bishop, by the way, very hot position. Very hot position. And whew, that got spicy. It got spicy, man. It's just e3. King d1. First, let's see if we understand the problem. f3. b5. Let's see if we just understand the problem. Oh, you guys, I gotta go too. Oh, wow, what a drag. Look at that. Oh, man. Ooh. My friends, I'm going to be back. And I'm going to do the rest of this thing. Great. I'm just taking forever. And I'm not going to stress about it. But I got to go run and do something. Oh, man, hold on. All kinds of stuff are going on in this little thread here. You guys, I will be back soon, conceivably tomorrow, to finish this off and also to talk about the new changes to the system that people will likely have problems with and questions about. And now, my friends, thank you, Cross Online. We're going to raid somebody.